Hello friends, in Certificate in Treasury Fundamentals, today we will read about Unit 1, Introduction to the Financial World. In Unit 1, we will read about Reading 3. In Reading 3, we will read about risk reporting. What is risk reporting? So generally we will say risk reporting is like it's a main important thing to manage the risk properly. Okay, so like we need to report our update, we need to report to the management, or like to what company is facing, or what like how we will handle the risk. It is like this. Okay, so risk reporting is a key step in managing risk properly. It involves sharing update about what risk the company is facing and how well those risks are being handled. So we need to sharing update means need to report. Okay, now why do we report on risk? Why should we report the risk? Risk reporting helps make sure the risk plan is being followed, check if target and goals are being met, target and goals are being met, spot problem early so action can be taken, find new opportunities, see if the risk strategy is working or needs changing. In short, it helps the company stay in control of risk. Okay. So, I think you're getting why do we report the risk? See, if we will report the risk, so it will help. Why? What it will help? It will help for make sure the risk planning being properly followed. Okay, we need to check if the target and goals are being met. Spot the problem early so we can take the action. We need to find new opportunities and see if the risk strategy is working or need changing. Okay, now governance and internal reporting. Risk reporting is a part of good corporate governance. Of course, if we will do risk reporting, then it's it's a very good and better corporate governance, which is how company make sure they are run properly and responsibly. Investor wants to know if management is handling risk as expected. It's a natural thing. They wants to know like if management is handling risk as they are expecting, because they are putting their money in the company. So they should aware about this situation. Manager needs regularly report to see if the risks are under control and what still needs to be done. So they needs to regular report if the risks are in control or what still needs to be done. Okay, so we understood clearly governance and internal reporting. Now we will read about external risk reporting. This is about sharing risk information with outsiders, especially investors. We need to share our information with the outsider. That is called external risk reporting. Internal reporting, we are sharing internally. Like we are checking internally how company make sure they are running properly or like this. Okay, external, we are sharing our reports to the outsiders, especially investors, through things like the annual report. It tells investors what happened, how risks were managed, and how well the company performed. The info must follow set rules and standards so investor can trust it. But the company must not share sensitive details that might hurt the business if competitors saw it. So it should be very careful about if they are sharing their report to the outsider. Okay. Next is risk disclosure rules. Some risk reporting is required by law or rules. This includes government law, accounting standard, and stock exchange rules. What they are saying, this risk disclosure rules. So if we are disclosing the risk, there are some rules. We need to follow that rules, and we need to share our information under that rules only. So we need to follow government law like the UK Companies Act or the US Sarbanes-Oxley Act. Accounting standards and stock exchange rules like London Stock Exchange or NYSE. New York Stock Exchange. Companies must report some risk information in their financial statement. Natural. Company needs to report some risk information in the financial statement. Treasurer play a key role in helping make sure this reporting is accurate and meet all the rules. More transparency expected. More people like shareholder, customers, and even environmental groups are asking companies to be more open and honest about their risk and how they handle them. International accounting standard. Companies, especially large companies, do business all over the world to make sure their financial statements are clear, honest, and comparable. They follow international rules called accounting standard. Okay, what are accounting standard? Accounting standard are rules for how companies should record and report their money. Accounting standard are rules for how companies should record and report their money, like their income, spendings, asset, debts. So for that, all these things, income, expenditure, asset and liability, there are some rules. So we need to follow that rule. So that is written in accounting standard. And because of these rules, company make sure the accounts are accurate. Means we can make sure the account of the company are accurate. Make it easier to compare one company result with another. Yeah, of course. And build trust for the investors and regulators. Why treasurer should care? Treasurer deals with financial instruments such as loan and bonds, foreign currency transaction, and derivatives. They need to understand how these things are reported in accounts so they stay compliant with the rules, avoid surprises or misstatements, can help explain financial result clearly. Okay, so we can understand why treasurer should care about this, because mainly treasurer dealing is with the financial instruments. What is financial instruments? Financial instruments is loans and bonds, foreign currency transaction, and derivatives. All are financial instruments, and treasurer is dealing with all the financial instruments. So they need to understand how these things are reported in the accounts. They needs to understand these things, otherwise they cannot read the information. So always it should be compliant with the rules, avoid surprises or misstatement, or it can help explanation to financial result clearly. Now IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standard. The IFRS Foundation is a group that set these international accounting rules. It is independent, not controlled by any government. Its goals is to create one set of global accounting standards that are high quality, easy to understand, and enforceable. Okay, that is set of international accounting rules. IFRS is set of international accounting rules. Okay, always it is independent, and because of this mainly it goals to create a set of global accounting standards that are high quality, easy to understand and enforceable. Within the IFRS Foundation, the IASB, International Accounting Standard Board, is the team that actually write and update the rules called IFRS. Who is writing this rule? IASB. Okay, why IFRS matters? More and more countries use IFRS. Investors can compare companies worldwide more easily, and treasurer needs to understand how transactions are recorded under IFRS so they can make the right decision. In short, accounting standard keep financial reporting clear and trustworthy. IFRS is the global standard used in many countries. Treasurer need to know how debt, currencies and derivatives are handled under these rules. Now, risk reporting structure. Risk reporting structure are the system and process a company uses to monitor, track and share information about risk. Risk reporting structure. Risk reporting structure are the system and process. That is a system and a process of a company uses to monitor, track and share information about risk, both inside the company and outside the investors. Outside the company like investors. Internal risk reporting. Internal risk reporting and inside the company. The Treasury Department has the job of managing risk, like making sure the company has enough money to operate. Okay, so in internal risk reporting, mainly it comes to the treasurer. Treasury Department has the job of managing all the risk. Okay, and they need to make sure about the company money, how we can operate that one. To do this well, they need to report regularly on how risks are being managed, whether things are going as planned, if the company will still have enough funds in the future. Here is how internal risk reporting work. How internal risk is reporting. Internal risk is reporting in a 6 step. First, we need to recognize the risk. We need to classify the risk. We need to measure the risk, record the risk, analyze the risk, report the risk. Recognize, spot when a risk related transaction or event happen. Okay, classify the risk, put the risk into a category based on the business structure. Measure the risk using the right number of benchmark. So we need to measure the risk. Record, write down key details of the risk or event. Analyze the risk, study the data to understand what's going on. Report, share finding with the right people. Company also use KPIs, key performance indicators. These are specific measurement that shows how well risk is being managed. Means like we can say cash, how much the cash available or currency exposure. Now external reporting. In internal reporting there are six steps. First, recognize, classify, measure, record, analyze and report. Okay. Now we will study about the external reporting. External reporting is not enough to manage risk well. You also need to prove it. So the board of the directors should report to people outside the company like shareholders, lenders, credit rating agency, analyst. The external report should match internal report closely so that there is no confusion or miscommunication. These reports help build trust and show the company is being responsibly managed. Now review and feedback. Once a risk report is created, it is important to compare the result to the plan. If something unexpected happen, the company should understand why, learn from it, improve how they plan and manage risk in the future. This review and feedback loop help make the system better over time. What happens if reporting fails? What happens if reporting fails? If reporting is poor or doesn't happen at all, it can lead to a serious problem. The company might not see a big loss coming. It could miss cost saving opportunity. Okay, company may get big loss. Company could miss cost saving opportunity. It won't be able to improve its risk management process. Investors and bank might lose trust, affecting funding. It may hurt the company reputation and financial health. In short, good reporting, better risk decision, more trust, stronger finances. Bad reporting, missed problem, lost money, and damaged reputation. So we finished this chapter now. I prepared some exam notes also for this. I will read that one so we can revise very fastly. Okay. So in this chapter, risk reporting, first we understand about the treasury risk. Then we use the tools identify, assess, manage, mitigate, and report the risk. Okay. Now risk management framework. In the risk management framework, there are 5 parts: identify the risk, assessment the risk, evaluation the risk, response the risk, reporting the risk. In the risk reporting, what is risk reporting? Tells whether risk management is working and compare actual performance versus risk policy. Risk reporting should show, are we following risk procedure? Are we hitting KPIs, means target? Are there problems or risk we missed? Are there any opportunities? Is the risk policy helping the company? Governance and internal reporting. Reporting is a part of good governance. Helps investors know if risks are being managed well. Managers needs regular update to make a smart decision. What is external risk reporting? Annual reports. Key tools should be risk performance. Info must be truthful, clear, and reliable, but be careful not to give away sensitive information. Important. Must disclose enough to managers, can't hide mistake. Help protect investors and the company reputation. Risk disclosure rules. Risk disclosure is required by government accounting standards and stock exchange rules. Companies must explain what risk they face, how they are managing those risks. International accounting standard, what are they? Rules of how to report finances and risk consistency across the world. Created by the IFRS Foundation, IASB make the rule. Who created this international accounting standard? IFRS Foundation created this one. IASB makes the rules. Goal, make account clear, comparable, and trustworthy. Why does this matter? Treasury use complex tools like that foreign exchange derivative. So they must understand how to report them properly under IFRS. Now risk reporting structure. Risk reporting structure, there are internal reporting or external reporting. In internal reporting, there are 6 steps. Recognize when something risky happens, classify the risk type, measure using KPIs, record the risk data, analyze to understand what's going on, report clearly to people who need to know. Okay. Implementing structure. Must show that risks are being managed well. Internal reports should match external reports. Use consistent benchmark and KPIs for continuous improvement. Review the feedback. Compare actual versus planned performance. Fix problems. Learn what worked and what didn't. Improve future risk planning. Consequence of bad reporting. If reporting is poor, it can lead to not saying loss-making activities, missing chances to cut costs, not improving risk process, reputation damage, loss of investor trust, harder to get funding. So we finished this chapter. Thank you, friends.